Hey everyone, welcome to the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. I'm Stephanie, a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of books and notebooks as tools for wellness. Reading and writing can help us feel better and make life better too, and I'll show you how I do it. You'll find episodes exploring the research behind reading and writing for wellness, practical strategies to embrace your own restorative reading and writing, and you'll meet authors and special guests who help us take inspired actions in our own daily practices too. So grab a notebook and your TBR list and let's dive into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, and I'm here with our monthly edition of Build Your Book Apothecary with me. It's one of my new favorite things, and I am eager to jump into today's episode. For those that are new here, a book apothecary is a carefully curated collection of books to help you cultivate whatever you want to grow in your life. It's based in science, rooted in reading, and even includes some journaling ideas too. Today's guest is no stranger to creating a book apothecary with me. We've previously worked together in a coaching session, and she's back to let me know how it's been going and to update her book stack for the new season. I can't wait to jump into this conversation, so let's get right to the episode. Abby, welcome to the podcast. I guess I should say welcome back to the book apothecary, but welcome to the podcast for the first time.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It's such an honor to be here. I'm such a fan of your podcast, so thank you.
Oh my gosh. You are welcome. I am excited. And from what I know about your first apothecary and the one that we are going to build today, I think there are a lot of listeners who are going to have their ears glued to the episode because so many of the things that you were trying to cultivate in your apothecary, I think a lot of us are trying to cultivate and work through in our apothecary. So
hmm
this is definitely going to be a conversation where we can almost hear the rapid scribbling of the pencils on the notebook as people are grabbing some titles. But before we get there, before we talk about even your first book, Apothecary, and move into the second, I, of course, want to introduce listeners to you. So I'm going to hand over the mic and let you tell listeners whatever you'd like to tell about yourself. And then we'll lean into what that first book, Apothecary, was like.
Great. Well, yeah, my name is Abby, and I'm a literacy coach. I know a lot of your listeners are educators, but in case you don't know, that's a person who just kind of oversees the reading and writing instruction for a school district. So that's what I am honored enough to do for my district. So I support curriculum and staff and help make instructional decisions. And just as far as my personal life goes, I have a lot of eclectic interests. I do love to read and write on when I have time for that, but I also just love gardening, and I'm an amateur beekeeper, and I love yoga and paddleboarding and just anything where I can get outside. So that will kind of tie into what I talk about later. So I thought I would mention that as well. But I'm the mother of a preteen and a teenage boy, and we're just coming upon summer, so we're all excited. Um,
Okay.
so, so I was just going to mention though, Stephanie, you came into my life through something called a coaching huddle that I
Mhm.
attend every Friday. It's this amazing community of literacy educators, and you presented at our very last huddle in May, leading into the summer, and I was so inspired by what you shared with us. I just really want you to know that it ignited this like fire in me to lean into books and writing in my life at a time where, I'm always like love seeing books on my shelf, but they don't always get into my hands. And that was a summer that like launched like this like renewal for me, and it's been like that ever since. So even when I didn't have time to read and write, just listening to your podcast like kept that flame going. So I just wanted to let you know because it's something that I hope you get a lot of feedback, but I just want to let you know like I'm a person that couldn't even tell you how much you meant to me, and you were doing lots of things for my life. So just had to tell you that.
Oh,
before
thank
we go
you for
farther.
that. That means the world to me. That really does. I love spreading this message as you know, and I remember that session. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes because if there are other coaches out there, they really need to know about Anne Marie's work as well.
Mhm.
So I will put a link to the huddle in the notes.
Awesome.
And I love that's how we connected. I hooked you in, and now
Did.
here we are.
We are. We are. So, should I talk about what kind of led us
Yes,
to our first meeting
yes, please. Let's
with
jump
the book
into that first
Apothecary?
one.
Great. So, I have felt over the last few years this growing restlessness that there's more for me. I have a lot of great responsibility with my role, but I was just feeling like as far as a career goes and a profession that there was more, that there's a purpose for me beyond what I'm currently doing. And that doesn't mean it has to happen right now, but there was this growing feeling that I had. And it's this desire to create something that I can call my own, to build something. And I kind of know, I know your do feel be protocol that you talk about. Like, I know how I want to be and I know how I want to feel, but I don't necessarily know what I want to do.
Mhm.
And so figuring that out kind of I was noticing in my life as I thought about that, it wasn't a happy feeling. It was like a distressed feeling of like, I have to figure this out. I have to figure this out. And I know that reading and writing could be a tool for me. I'm leaning into a lot of mindful practices, but I don't have those titles on the top of my, the tip of my tongue to say, like, this is a book I can read to help me with that. So I immediately thought of you. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if I met with you? And so I could share with you how I have these feelings about living bigger, living more boldly, seeking freedom, which is like a big word for me,
Yeah.
and living with my purpose. So I wanted to meet with you. So even if I didn't know what I wanted to do, reading books and writing could help me unlock some of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that whole first book, Apothecary, really embraced that idea. We had a couple of little tangential, areas that we went off to. And now that I know there's gardening and beekeeping, I didn't know that before. There are other titles now that are popping
Oh, that's awesome.
into my mind. So let's just talk about a couple of those titles that you've already read.
Hmm.
And which ones you found the most helpful, if you would recommend them to others. I
Hmm.
gave you a laundry list in
You
that first
did.
coaching session. I mean, I think maybe 15, 16. Yeah, I've got a couple of them there. But there were a couple that from our quick little exchange, you read that were more powerful, I'd say, over others, or were leaving really making a mark. Can you talk about a couple of those in case listeners, who are also thinking, oh, freedom, oh, restless, oh, what's next? What were
Mhm.
those books, Abby,
Mhm.
that you put on your shelf? Give us a couple of them.
I will. I'd be happy to. So, the first one I'll mention, I was so glad you put a picture book on my list. And although this was a great reminder of things, I'll get into the like deeper ones after that, but I just have to mention the big squeeze.
Yes, thank you.
It was just such a wonderful concept of a kitchen sponge who just absorbs things all day until they feel like so gunky that they need to be wrung out. And this little sponge learns that she needs to take care of herself and she needs to let others take care of her too. And so it's helped me professionally too because I read that book to our staff in different settings. I even raffled it off to some of our teachers and it was a great conversation point. So professionally, that one was also great.
Yeah, I love that book. And I'll just throw in that's The Big Squeeze by Molly Harris in case anyone else listening needs a little picture book kick in the pants to take care of themselves.
Such a good one. The next one that you recommended that I really loved, and I have it right beside me, the Book of Alchemy. I think it's Suleika. I don't know how to
Zuleika.
pronounce her last name, but
Zuleika Joad.
okay, I love her dearly. I love her husband, John Baptiste, going to his concert in the summer. But this book really works well for me because these short little reads that I can read before a writing session or before a meditation session. So that's a quick inspirational part, but also the journal prompts in here have been really wonderful for me because, as I'm sure we'll talk about later, I'm still trying to really define a writing process that works for me both in the morning and then I like a quick evening writing. And so the first chapter of her book is the theme is on beginning. And I'm in the memory chapter now because I'm just kind of easing my way through this book. But two journal practices that I was doing in the evening because of this book. There was one that talked about the 100-day creative project. I think it was from a Yale professor. And so I thought, well, what can I do that's like a little bit creative that's also helping me move towards this goal of figuring out what I want to do next. And so I started writing a nightly haiku because yeah, because I always think of haiku as like something you write about in nature, and
Yeah.
Beth Kempton always talks about haiku. But when I looked up the purpose of haiku, it was like to reveal truth. And so I just sit down, and it doesn't happen every night, but I really tried to write haiku about because I don't know what it is. I write about how I want to feel or what I want to be engaging with. And so I have this like collection of haiku starting based on just one little entry from this book.
I love it. I
And that's
love that. I have never been able to master the haiku. There's something about the syllables. I don't know. There's something about it, but I love a good 6 word story because I feel
Mhm.
like that's a little bit broader. And I love that idea of ending your night that way with just a little, just a little bit of writing.
Mhm.
Plus,
It's
it
been really
connects
good
you.
because
Yeah.
your brain's kind of tired and
Yes.
I'm not ready to take on too much. But so that was one thing. And then at night also there was an entry in this beginning about it's called Just 10 Images. It's actually the second short story that's in this book. And the author talks about how um, at the end of the day, when she was raising her children and when she was going through hard times, she didn't feel like she could write a lot because she didn't have the bandwidth for it. But what she discovered is she could write a list of 10 images that crossed her eyes that day that she wants to remember.
Yeah.
And so that I feel like sometimes in the blur of life, you finish a day and you can't even remember what you did and said and saw. And so this has really helped me live a little differently because at the end of my day, I think, what did my eyes see today? What did my eyes see that I want to remember? And they could be really simple things, they could be bigger things. And I feel like it helps slow things down. It captures some things for me. And also, I feel like I go throughout my day saying, oh, wow, that's something I could write tonight.
Yeah.
So even though I've just like, I'm not far in this book, I just really love hearing different voices that she's curated in this collection. And then, like I said, the journal prompts have been really impactful. So thank you so much for that one.
Oh, I am glad to pass that along. I pretty much press that into everybody's hands because of all of those varied essays. There is something in there for everyone. And as you so beautifully showed, just a one-page story, a one-page essay could be enough to change something in your day, which then changes something in your life. And I feel like that book is just full of them in one place. I'm so glad that that has not only been a book that you turn to read, but also write and also live, which is the goal, right? And that
Yes,
book seems to really be a pivotal one to do
it
that.
is.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
so
so
thank
glad.
you so much for that one.
So glad.
The next biggest one on that list was The Freedom Seeker. And what I tend to do with books is like I'll read the first couple pages. Like you gave me that stack there, that list, and I went and I got all of them from the library, and I had a big stack, and I just started reading like the first 10 or so pages of each one and thought which one grabbed me first because my time is limited and I'm trying to carve out more time, but I need it to be something that I feel really invested in from right from the get-go. So Beth Kempton's Freedom Seeker, and I ended up buying it. has been really, really fantastic for me. And it motivated me to get a sketchbook out that I have. I mean, I have my bullet journal that I write my daily stuff in, but I turned to an actual sketchbook. I don't know if you can kind of see, but I know our
Yeah.
listeners can't see, but I really tried to take her words because she's just so eloquent and she writes with such clarity about how we can find freedom in our lives and different prompts along the way. Again, you introduced me to Beth Kempton and her Christmas podcast, and now she's just one of my favorite people. And I feel these experiences, this book in particular, helped me feel less restless. It made me feel like, I don't know, like I'm getting ready for something. And she's prepared, reading this book's helping me prepare for whatever the thing is. But her freedom keys were great to hear about. And just every section's been really meaningful. Finding your flock, because a lot of it is like a bird reference in this, getting out of your cage, finding your flock, learning how to fly. And there were some just really, really profound things in here. So this has been a wonderful read for me.
I think the other favorite thing I love to do, other than connect people with books and connect them with a notebook idea, is connect them to the people that are going to then keep that going. And oh, Beth Kempton's one.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
wonderful.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but can I read you one section?
Oh, please.
Do
Yeah,
you mind?
absolutely.
So this one section talks about emerging, and she writes about like emerging like a butterfly, through the different phases. And this helped me just feel calm in my heart as I prepare for something that's on the horizon. She talks about a caterpillar. A caterpillar doesn't know what is happening inside. He doesn't know that the ache in his shoulders is the cartilage of his wings hardening. He doesn't know that the tightening around his body is the swelling of his wing feathers as they develop the markings that will identify him in the next phase of life. And then she talks about when he emerges. The day he emerges, he senses an unfolding. He looks different. He feels different. He's capable of new things. He flutters around testing out his new wings, which have been hidden inside all along. Only then does he know what to do with his new life.
Oh, so beautiful.
Isn't that just so I'm like, I'm okay if I'm in my chrysalis, just, figuring it all out.
In the discomfort. Such a beautiful reminder that that discomfort actually is
Hmm.
growth. We just don't
Hmm.
we just don't know what kind yet and where it's going. Oh, that's a beauty. I'm gonna have to get my copy out and put that in my quote notebook. I don't think it's there at the moment. I love that.
I did too. Thank you. And then if there's one more, if you don't mind, but I
Sure.
I actually haven't this book led me to this author, but I this is my next read, and that's Abundant Ever After by Kathy Heller.
Good.
And that one, Freedom Keeper, came first, and that was going to be my second. And the when I read, cover to cover, and I had kind of forgotten about it, not forgotten about it, but like didn't get to it yet. And again, you, Stephanie, mentioned Kathy on a recent podcast, like a couple weeks or a month or so ago, and I'm like, oh yeah. And so I couldn't fit her reading in just yet because I was still reading Freedom Keeper or Freedom Seeker, but I started listening to her podcast too, and I'm feeling like a shift in me.
She opens
I'm
your mind in the best way.
really in so many ways, and so I just started leaning into like her thoughts on manifesting and just different methods for that, because manifestation is such a thrown around term now, and there's so many interpretations and different ways that people do it. But um, she's really helping me, and that's why I can't wait to actually read the book, because she's helping me going through my days, being more conscious of my mindset, my level of gratitude, my overall energy that I'm bringing into a room. And I feel like I'm giving more, but I'm also receiving just as much back. And there's a really reciprocal relationship going on right now. And also just like anticipating delights in my day,
Yeah.
anticipating synchronicities that happen, and I'm seeing them. So I know sometimes they say what you look for, you see. And so that's part of it. But that's all these other books have meant a lot to me, but like there's something about my engagement with how she presents information that is really shifting. So you mentioned her, and then it's funny, I listened to her, and then and then like I was listening to some Mel Robbins things, and she mentioned Kathy, and I feel like there's just a lot of like
Yeah.
interweaving right now of people's voices that are kind of helping me move in a direction.
I gotta tell you, Abby, the highest compliment someone could give me without even knowing it isn't to say, "Oh, I loved the book and it was, such a good recommendation," but to hear you talk about the ways the books have shifted you and changed the way you operate in your day, the things you write about, the things you think about, the things you give out, the things you bring back in. There's like no greater feeling right now that's kind of bursting out of my chest to see those recommendations just help, like truly help. Like I feel like a little kid who's all lit up to see and hear you talk about how these books have really mattered to you. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you. Thank
thank
you.
you. And I mean it. Like the day I met with you in my car, like running late from a doctor's appointment, fitting this on my phone in the car. I think it was like raining. And it's just like I felt like these were tools I needed right at this time, and they've been companions for me. So right, I could see why like that's so rewarding for you, but like look what you're a gift, what you're providing for people. So thank you. Keep it going.
Thank you. Oh, we will. We will. Which actually brings us to today's episode. So you had your first book, Apothecary. My goodness, things that have happened, the ways that you've opened your mind and changed and moved. And as with anything, you know, the book Apothecary needs to grow and
Mhm.
shift and change as you grow and shift and change. And so that's why you're back for round two, which
Yay.
is to see, in this particular season now what books might be best for you. And I know that some of your initial goals with that first book, Apothecary, it's not like they've all been thrown out the window and you have brand new ones. You're still working with a couple of really beautiful core words, which I'll let you talk about. Um, but let's jump into where you are now, given everything that you've already read and written and done, and how you want your apothecary to support you moving forward. And then I will perhaps give you another laundry list of books to consider.
That sounds wonderful. Well, I just want to keep building on this foundation that's already here. I definitely I want to read Abundant Ever After by Kathy. But one of the things that I find that is a, a struggle for me in thinking big and thinking about a change is I think I have a lot of financial anxiety around
Yeah.
doing something that might risk the security for myself and my family. So I know there are a lot of logistics and facts, black and white things that come into play, but I also have been getting the idea that I think it's a mindset shift that I need to work on with myself. So freedom is a really important word for me. I have four words that I thought I would change every year, but these have actually been my four words for 2 years now, and they just kind of grow and evolved. And one is connect, and that means I want to more more strongly connect with my family and build on the great foundation we have there, but connect with my community, my friends, and I kind of have intentions set around that word. And then nourish, and that means nourishing my brain, of course, but like my soul, my body through my workouts, my movement, the way I nourish it with food. Those are all really high priorities to me. My third word is grow,
Mm.
and it has to do with me loving to grow actual things, but of course, growing as a person and growing ideas around my purpose. And then, like I said, freedom is just I think the first and foremost of how I want to feel as I go through my days, not only now, but in whatever is my next chapter. But then that financial freedom is like a really important piece for it for me. And so those are like if I could have anything around those words that can help me with that. And do you want me to stop there? Because I have like some journaling too I wanted to ask about, but
Let's start with books.
okay, great.
Because part of what I'm going to recommend to you today, because you've given me a sneak peek into those words and how they
Mhm.
changed in the Google form that everyone kind of submits. Some of those are going to move into your journaling and your writing. Because one of the other things that we talked about in addition to those words was thinking about the morning versus the evening and what might a morning practice with reading and writing and meditation look like for you. So
Mhm.
I feel like if we start with books, we might be able to naturally get there with some of
Great.
the books that I've recommended. But now listeners are understanding why I said pencils are going to be put to paper. The things that you said, connect, nourish, grow, freedom. So many of us, I think, are craving those exact same things. And even if not in quite the same way, it's just this shared thread of just evolving, right? And figuring out what that looks like while being excited of what it would look like and not too afraid to either let go or mess up everything that we have created thus far. So I
Mhm.
totally understand, especially around the abundance of money, the financial abundance, and that risk taking.
Mhm.
I feel like I could have been making this apothecary for the two of us, quite frankly. So I'm so glad that you came on and just so appreciate the honesty around it too. Like it's one thing to create these words and these ideas for yourself, but then to press a record button and record them for the world to hear, right? That can be a little daunting sometimes, but I know everybody listening is so grateful that those are the things that you're looking for because they are looking for them too. Are you ready for some books?
I'm so ready. I have my pen in my hand.
I've got my pencil, my notebook, my bazillion sticky notes as I was, writing on the fly as you
Let
were.
it rip.
But I do just want to name one book that you've already mentioned that was on the first Apothecary that I am glad you are moving to, and that is Kathy Heller's Abundant Ever After. For those that don't know that title or know her work, Abundant Ever After really is all about this spiritual and motivational aspect of looking at abundance, but in all sorts of ways, in time, in relationship, in connections, in money, in everything. But what I love that she does the best is she breaks it down into such simplistic analogies that are rooted in science and also have some fun woo to them so that no matter who you are, you can connect to them. So anyone who's looking for abundance, right? More of something, an ease, a freedom. I feel like one of my first recommendations before she published the book was always to just go listen to her, and now that she has published it, it is to jump into Abundant Ever After. So I just wanted to say, read that one first
Thank
before
you.
before you go to the rest of the books, because I do feel like it's a great one. But the one thing I want to tag on to that, which isn't a book, but it does have many, many journaling opportunities attached to it, is Gabby Bernstein's Abundance Challenge. Do you
Hmm.
know Gabby Bernstein?
No.
Okay, well, we could recommend her books as well. She has a book called Super Attractor. She has a book called Self-Help. She is very much in line with Kathy Heller's views of abundance, and she has a 21-day abundance challenge, which drops a 10-minute audio into your ears every day of those 21 days, and then is accompanied with a journal prompt. Or for
Great.
others, maybe who don't journal, some sort of reflective prompt. And I feel like it could pair very well with Abundant Ever After. I'm actually taking that challenge right now, which is why I'm recommending it, because there's just something about having it plop into your inbox as a reminder that I think could pair well at the same time since they agree so much when you're reading Kathy's book. So
It's
just
fantastic.
a little aside of another thing to put in your ears and something
Great.
that could also take up some space in your notebook.
Thank you. What
Okay,
excites me about Kathy, and it sounds like this author might do the same thing, is I like when they go into the neuroscience of it.
me too.
I think that it legitimizes it. And I don't know, I've been following other people right now that are also talking about that. So it's all connecting. So that is my next step. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so if we have those right off the top, which is connecting back from your first one, now we can jump into some new titles, some new suggestions. Is there a particular thing you want to zoom into first, like to continue with the abundance and financial freedom? I know you've mentioned mindfulness and that morning work as well, or do you
Mhm.
just want me to jump in?
Um, I'm here for it all. So just jump in.
Okay, so let's continue then with the abundance and shift into financial abundance. I
Great.
think you'll find Kathy Heller, even though abundance is not just monetary, her book does really address that scarcity versus abundance view
Mhm.
in relation to money and wealth specifically. Gabby Bernstein's challenge will do that as well. But I do have a tried and true favorite that specifically talks about money. I guess it would be considered old now, but I think it's an old but good one. And it's Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Oh,
So Jen Sincero has all of the beautiful badass books, which I love. I hope I don't have to beep that out for some sort of
oh,
past podcast language thing, but you are a badass at making money. They're friends, Kathy Heller and Jen Sincero. And so the ideas are going to align, but Jen's book takes it a little bit further on how to let go of some of the fears you have around money. And in particular, the fears you have around taking risks in relation to that money mindset, which is what you mentioned. You have some ideas, you're excited to think forward, while at the same time you want to make sure that you don't undo everything and leave your family and you in a place,
mhm.
that isn't ideal. So I think Jen's book specifically, You Are a Badass at Making Money, um, is going to be one that's going to give you not just the science and the really great woo-wee feelings, but she's
Mhm.
going to give you tasks and she's
Great.
going to give you things to do that if you do them over the course of the book, really will, at least I think, have a real tangible shift and something that you can like literally hang on to and
Wonderful.
not just change your mindset, but literally change the situation because of those recommendations, which is what she did in her own life. And that's how the book came.
Great. Oh, that sounds perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so that's You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And the other one I want to recommend, I will be honest, I just started reading this one. So I don't know, maybe things will go south as I keep going in the book. But the one I wanted to recommend was by Rhonda Byrne, who is the author of The Secret, which is the very
Mm,
original abundance manifestation scene, I guess, so to speak. And there have been lots of people who have either expanded her view of manifestation or even pushed back at it a bit.
mhm.
But in response to that, I have noticed how she approaches manifestation shift a bit. And her newest one, this is just a year or so old, is called Countdown to Riches. It's also it's a challenge, but not an audio challenge. It's a day book, 21 days of wealth attracting habits. You're an
Great.
educator. You are someone that's trying to work on evening routines and morning routines. That habit piece, I
Mhm.
think, could be key to you and constantly chipping away at that
Yes.
mindset over time. So we'll have to read the rest of this one together and see how it. I like it enough to recommend it already, even though I'm only
Great.
a couple of days in. Because, like I said, I feel like your book, Apothecary, could be Could be mine, could be anybody's.
Mhm.
So that could be a great one to pair. Obviously, you're not going to read all four of them at the same time on abundance, but I love, and I didn't mention this yet, I love your strategy of getting them all and then
Mhm.
opening them up and just seeing which one feels right in the moment. I think that's genius. So
And then I
that's,
just slowly have purchased them.
yeah, yes. So I feel like that's what you could do here with the books, especially on abundance, since so many of them are tied together.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay. Moving then from abundance, I don't want to say from, actually, abundance with mindfulness is what I would like to do because I know that was something in your submission that mindfulness piece is just an overall thread
Mhm.
that you have. And this book I think does a nice job at combining both. It's called Stress Less, Accomplish More by Emily Fletcher. Do you know this book or do you know
No,
Emily?
no.
Love when I can do this. Okay, so
All right.
Emily is another one who I think you will just fall down the rabbit hole with. She has some beautiful books on manifestation and abundance, but also mindfulness, meditation, and not yoga, but restorative yoga like elements to her meditative work. And this book was about using manifestation and using abundance to calm yourself down and to realize you don't have to do it all. And if you just pick a couple of key things, you can have less stress, but actually move forward faster and farther than with our old traditional mindsets of productivity and getting it done and the worry and the checklist and the scarcity. And you're nodding like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good bridge to where you want to go. And then
Mhm.
once you're there, you'll be in Emily's world too, which
That's
is a
great.
beautiful world to be in.
I have to really fight against the feeling that I have the measure of my day, the measure of the quality of my day is how many things I checked off. I have to really fight against that way that I am. So
Yep.
this sounds like the perfect match for me.
Yeah. So many of us are like that. You're in good company, I think, of the listeners of this podcast as well. Okay. So those are the ones around abundance, kind of moving into mindfulness. I want to recommend a couple of books that specifically invite journaling and
Great.
and writing. I know you're working on figuring out what that looks like in the morning, what that looks like at night. But the one I want to recommend, I think the most for a practice like that, especially because you're still trying to figure that part out of what your actions are next,
Mhm.
is a spin-off of Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way.
Hmm.
Have you read The Artist's Way?
I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Okay. So The Artist's Way is this beautiful book where Julia invites us to write every morning. So that's the connection to
Hmm.
the morning practice. Not necessarily in relation to a prompt or a book, but to just get up and literally have the first thing you do, go to your notebook, open up, and just start writing and see what comes out. And as you do that again and again and again, you start to see the themes and the trends and the questions and the little hopes bubbling up that can often help people figure out what direction they want next. And she really believes it's that stream of consciousness. Nothing
Yes.
else has gotten in your way before your brain has woken up and gotten on the rest of the day that could give you some really big clues to what that might be. And I know you're still working on what that might be. So that this idea of the artist way philosophy, I think could be really important to what you
Wonderful.
want to do. Now, it also involves taking yourself out for some artist dates, which could be, you know, walking the aisles for a new notebook, walking outside and listening to birds. It can be whatever you'd like. It's paired with that self-care of following the threads that you find on the page somehow in little ways, big ways, medium ways, whatever way you want into your life so that that writing on the page really makes life better. So the Artist Way is one that instantly jumped out to me. But the one I want to recommend specifically to you is called The Daily Artist's Way. It's a
Okay.
day book. So it is a short essay, a short paragraph some days, sometimes just a couple of quotes or two, um, that prompt you every morning to remember this kind of work that you could do. So if you haven't read The Full Artist Way yet, I of course would say lean into that. But because I know you're trying to figure out what that morning routine and that nighttime ritual
Mhm.
could look like, this could be one little snippet before you go to bed and write your haiku. Or
Awesome.
after that list of 10 objects, this is right by your bed and you read it and then you just like osmosis it through through your brain
Great.
the whole night. I love day books for that as a way to prompt ritual and routine,
Mhm.
but just keep whatever it is we're working on front and center
Yes.
there. And so this could be one of those quick little page turns that just helps you stay in that mindset and that frame of mind.
Thank you.
Gosh, which one do I want to go to next? Okay, I'm going to go to Rachel Hollis. So,
Oh,
in
okay.
your last apothecary, I recommended journaling prompt for you, which was what must you let go of in order to embrace this new version of yourself that you're looking for? And the book that that came from is one that I want to put on your radar as you continue that. And that book is called What If You Are the Answer? It's
Hmm.
very much aligned with an artist's way philosophy, which is show up to the page and write and figure out who you are in that process. And there are 20 something, maybe 26 different questions that Rachel poses that could help you show up to your notebook in addition to the one that I shared in that apothecary. So if you really are trying to embrace more of that writing and that journaling and that notebooking, that is a good one to do that with.
That's great. When I do take the time to write, such clarity comes. And so these are definitely going to, but sometimes when I don't have something, I just kind of stare and I don't feel like I'm writing with a whole lot of depth. So I'm really excited about both of these because I think it will help me get to that point.
Bill, although I almost want to be the devil on your shoulder that
Mhm.
says the days where we write terrible writing, the days where we don't go deep and we just are on the surface, you can't get to the depth unless you let yourself get all of that surface out. So the days where you think, oh, I didn't really have a great epiphany on the page, great, because that means your epiphany is coming and you have to kind of wade through that. So
Okay.
change, there's a little mindset trick of
Okay.
every single word on the page is moving you forward even if in our conditioned mind it wasn't as insightful or in depth or mind blowing as it should be. If there's anything
Mhm.
I've learned in my own expressive writing practice when I'm trying to like heal,
Mhm.
physically, it's that your body needs to get that surface stuff out before it will sink in. So anything on the page,
Okay.
you are moving forward, even if it wasn't, some kind of mic drop Pinterest worthy understanding that day.
That's a good reminder.
Okay, I have one more. I was not going to overwhelm you with too many, but I haven't shared a fiction book yet.
Oh,
And
good.
I wanted to share a fiction book with you. This is a book, it's brand new, like literally brand new, probably just released this week, and is going to go down as one of my favorites of 2026. And it's called Ways to Find Yourself by Angela Brown. Right away, the title is already something that is right up your alley,
Seems like
right?
a good fit.
But here is the setup of this book. The main character is going through a very difficult time. So there are some kind of triggery things, just so listeners know this. Her mother has recently passed away. Her husband has recently left her. She was having all sorts of fertility issues that led up to that. She's trying to write her next novel and it's going terribly. Like everything is going wrong. And because of some nice little dominoes that fell into place, she finds herself in the same summer home that her and her mother used to rent for a week every summer since she was a toddler. And she feels like she needs to go, even though she's alone, she's going to go. She needs to just get away and figure things out. Now, a little magical realism comes in, and these aren't spoilers because all of this is on the back of the book still. As she is interacting in that beautiful little sea town in New Jersey that she has gone to since she was a little girl, she starts to see past versions of herself. The 12-year-old her playing skee ball at the arcade, the 14-year-old her riding her bike to go meet the boy for the first time, the 21-year-old her who was afraid of what was coming next after college. And because she is looking at her life differently, she sees her life differently. She comforts herself differently. She gives herself grace. It's like I just cried at almost every opportunity that she saw a younger version of herself and realized she could have treated herself more kindly and looked at her circumstances differently. And as that goes through the book, and this is where I can't say things now because spoilers will come. Obviously great reflection happens when something like that is happening to you. She decides not to get afraid of what's happening in her mind and instead embrace this as an opportunity and just beautiful, beautiful growth, standing, transformation, all of the things that you might expect happen in a situation like that does and more. And in a way that I didn't see coming at the end, which I think is the best way because it wasn't typical, but it was still really, really okay. And so as you're figuring out your next steps, looking back at those old, I guess I should say those younger versions of you in those different phases of your life could probably give you some insight now and give you a whole lot to write about too in the
Mhm.
journal, I imagine. By far going to be one of my favorites for a long time.
That's wonderful. Thank you. That sounds like I always, going into summer, I want a fiction book too. I do a lot of like self-discovery books, and sometimes
Yes.
that's a lot to juggle. A lot of all of those thoughts going on at the same time. So I'm so glad you recommended a fiction title.
And this is perfect for summer reading because it,
Hmm.
of course, takes place in the summer at a New Jersey beach town. Okay. I may have to email you another book or two now that I know about the gardening and the beekeeping and all that. But for now, I think that is quite a stack.
Yes.
Uh, some typical personal development books. We
Mhm.
have some day books and books more focused on the journaling. And then we've got that fiction book thrown in. What are you thinking now that I've thrown some more titles at you? Which ones are jumping out? Which one do you think you might lean into until you have all of them in front of you to read those 10 pages?
Well, I always like to have a fiction book going with something that's more developed for my development. So I'm really anxious I just feel like I'm just going to buy Ways to Find Yourself.
Good.
And then Abundant Ever After is still the one I think is paramount for me right now. So I think having those two, but I love the idea of having maybe that abundance challenge to kind of go alongside it, like you said. Might be my starting points, but everything you recommended sounds so aligned with what I need. It will give me I'll have a whole summer
You will.
where I won't have to, select anything myself. You'll keep me busy. But I have this, I know you can't see it, but like I have this like beautiful porch that we added on to our house a few years ago, and the sun comes up, and it's my very favorite thing is to wake up early and to grab my books and my stack and my pillow and a blanket if it's chilly, and just go out there and give myself the first half hour or so of the day to do the things that I don't have time for when we wake up and we have to get out of the house and everybody has to get to school. And so June is my month. I claim it as my month. It's my middle name. It's just like I was named after my grandma, and I just cannot wait I hope to get into these in May, but when June rolls around, like these are my priorities in the morning, and I'm just so grateful and so excited to keep evolving and expanding.
That sounds like the best morning ever.
It
It
really
really
is.
does. I do something similar, but it's at my kitchen table by my window. Because if I did happen to go outside, I'm going to have all of the dogs clamoring, and it's not going to be very
It's a distraction.
yes, but that sounds beautiful. I mean, what a beautiful space to grapple with some of
Hmm.
these really beautiful questions you get to ask, which is what comes
Hmm.
next.
Yeah, very fortunate to have that time coming up. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time to keep evolving this journey I'm on.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm so glad to be a part of it. I think this is a good time for me to mention too for listeners, if you want to come on to the podcast and do exactly what Abby and I have done today, make sure you go to the show notes and take a quick look and a quick click. Not too bad of a form, right, Abby? Just a couple of little
No,
questions to get started.
not at all.
Good. Okay. So, Abby, where can listeners find you if they want to connect with you on this reading and writing journey that you're on as well?
Great. Well, yeah, I would love to connect with some of your listeners. Probably the best place to find me is on Instagram at abbyjune.hartman. So ABBY June, like the month, dot Hartman, and my last name is spelled with two N's. I would love to connect with people on there.
Wonderful. Well, I'll put those in the show notes as well.
Great.
And I will be back in your inbox with another title or two once you've had a chance to settle these to
Great.
just to top it off.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was
Oh,
fun.
thank you. It really was. Thank you, Abby. And listeners, thanks for listening to another episode. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Get Literate Substack community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking inspiration, live events, giveaways, and much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content, too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. But there's one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community, too. Thanks for listening, everyone.